So, in a sign that the nanny state is alive and well and that our education system is run by a bunch of morons, here is a story that should make your blood boil. Last month, 16 schools sent home letters to parents in Cheshire, England. And the message was pretty clear. It was a threat. A threat warning parents that if schools find out that your kid has played or has had any access, including watching the parent play a mature video game, then the school is going to contact the police and social service workers because they say that's neglect. Let me read you a part of what this letter says. Several children have reported playing or watching adults play games which are inappropriate for their age, and they have described the levels of violence and sexual content that they've witnessed. Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Dogs of War, and similar games are all inappropriate for children, and they should not have access to them. So we need to inform you all of the actions we are advised to take and why. If your child is allowed to have inappropriate access to any game or associated product that's designated 18 plus, we are advised to contact the police and children's social care as it is neglectful. Access to these games increases early sexualized behaviors, and then they put in quotation marks, sometimes harmful. I guess meaning that they think sometimes sexualized behavior is okay amongst kids. And then they continue in children and leaves them vulnerable to grooming for sexual exploitation or extreme violence. So now letting your kids play games is considered neglect. Or even if they walk into the room and see an adult playing a game, it could be neglect. The level of stupid in this letter is almost off the charts. And the fact that it comes from a so-called education system is even more ridiculous. Never mind that science and many studies have shown that while violent video game sales have risen drastically, overall violent crimes have diminished in those same parts of the world where game sales are the highest. But you see, that doesn't fit into the brainwashing propaganda machine where the idea is to ultimately control you and your parents. It is not the job of the state to babysit you nor to parent you. That is the sole responsibility of a parent. Now, of course, there are times where I could see somebody in the education system needing to call the authorities whenever they can tell that actual abuse is taking place. You know, if you notice bruises coming up regularly on some kid or you hear some horrific story, then yes, of course, there is a responsibility for you to step in and do something. But to call the police or social services over hearing that Timmy got his hands on Call of Duty is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. I mean, are you also going to call the cops on little Susie who watched 50 Shades of Grey on DVD too? Why target the games? Why not start banning books and start doing book burnings again? Or, you know, what are you going to do to kids who you find out watched late night Showtime or Cinemax, or Skinemax is what I like to call it? Or hell, are we going to ban the internet now? And if you find out they use the net, call the cops? But you see, games are an easy target because they've already brainwashed a large part of the population who don't play games into believing that they are murder training simulators. Never mind that these people can't ever provide legitimate facts or studies that back up their argument. But, I mean, it's like Hitler's propagandist once said, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. And, you know, it's really sickening to think that a family could be torn apart over something like this. You know, I've been shooting pixels as long as I can remember. I played Call of Duty. I remember playing Rainbow Six, and, you know, at the time that that came out, I would have been like 15 or 16. I've played GTA, and throughout all that, throughout playing all those games and having my mind so warped, You know, I grew up where I feel like I have a pretty strong set of morals and convictions. I've been working a 40-plus hour job since I was old enough to even work. I own my own home, I run my own business, and my favorite pastime is playing with my Shih Tzu and my Maltipoo. Yeah, look how jacked up in the head I turned out. Too bad social services didn't come in and take away my parents so I could have grown up sucking on the government's teat and learning how to be a good sheep. I mean, it's really insane, and they are literally driving a wedge between parents and children. Most kids don't even need their parents to buy a game. They borrow it from their friends like I used to in school. And parents can't know every single thing that their kid is doing 24/7, especially when they're older. At 16, you can drive a 2-ton vehicle on a roadway, but God forbid that you play Call of Duty. You can be responsible enough to where you could get a babysitting job and take care of another human being that can't take care for itself, but if you walk in on daddy playing GTA, kiss your ass goodbye. And I've said it before, I am not advocating parents buy their kids these types of games. I've said it myself. If I was a parent, there's a lot of games I wouldn't want my kid playing, especially around the age of like 8 to 10. I wouldn't want them playing GTA. But to get the authorities involved because somebody did, how does that solve anything? How does that help anyone? You get social services or police involved, the only thing that can happen is it can destroy families. So how about this? Why don't the schools stick with educating kids? And how about putting people in charge of the education system who have a little common sense, which apparently seems like a superpower these days? Leave it up to the parents to parent their kids. If you want to read more about it, links down in the description box. That does it for me, The Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Are you listening? Damn.